Snow White is a fairy tale written by the Grimm brothers and is staged in Germany. The story is much different from how Disney interpreted it. Such as in the beginning of the story, the queen, Snow White's mother, pricked her finger on a needle and blood dropped from it. This made her want a child that is white as snow, red as blood, and black as wood. In the movie, this was never shown. Probably because of the mother pricking her finger. Because any sign of blood is graphic for a child. If any other reason, it is the cut down time. Later on in the story, the queen finally had Snow White, but died at birth. Her father, the king, then remarried to Snow White's stepmother, who was a cruel person. In both the story and the movie, the step queen is known to make Snow White to have forced labor, so she could never be as beautiful as the queen. And she'd always go to her mirror and go, "Mirror, mirror on the wall, who is the fairest of all?" This was besides the manual labor and the mirror, the king remarrying and the mother was never shown in the movie because it's either not relevant or also to cut time. As Snow White grew older, she became more beautiful. One day, when the queen asked her mirror, it responded with Snow White being the fairest of them all. This made the evil queen want to kill Snow White. Just like in the movie, she ordered her huntsman to take her into the woods and kill her. But the difference between the Disney movie and the story is that in the story, the queen ordered the huntsman to kill her, but to bring back her lung and liver as proof. And so, when the huntsman took her into the woods and couldn't kill her, he told her to run away. And when she did, he killed a young boar and took its liver and lung, and took it to the queen. She then had her cook it and then salt it, and she ate it. In the movie, this never happened, probably because the graphic violence of someone taking another living thing's organs. And it wouldn't be very appropriate to have someone then eat those organs, thinking they were human. Later in the movie, Snow White meets the 7 dwarves, and just like in the movie, they have been cook and clean while they're in the mines. And when the queen hears about this, she understands that Snow White is still alive. In Disney's movie, she went out to kill Snow White with the poisoned apple. In the story, it shows that the evil queen did 3 attempts by dressing as an old woman twice and then a peasant girl. The first 2 times, the queen tried suffocating her by tying a lace too tight around her, and the second time with a poisoned comb. And each day she came back to life. The queen got furious about this and then dressed up as a peasant girl and gave Snow White the poison apple. This was probably changed to either cut time or to show one attempt of murder instead of 3 to make it slightly more appropriate. Because in the actual movie, they don't show Snow White actually killed by the apple, they just show her arm. To trick Snow White into eating the apple after she's been so cautious, the queen ate half the apple to show Snow White it was safe, which then tricked her. In the original story, Snow White was placed in a glass coffin and was woken when the prince was taking her away. One of her servants stumbled, and then the poison apple that was in her throat came out, and she was back to life. In the movie, all that happened was the prince kissed Snow White, and she came back to life. The reason why Disney may have made this change was because in most Disney movies, they usually show a prince kissing a princess. It was probably just a way to keep up with their trend. So after Snow White is awoken, she then marries the prince. But in the original story, the queen is invited to the wedding, and she comes reluctantly. And when the queen arrives, they forced her to put on iron shoes that have been heated and have her dance until she dropped dead. They probably didn't show us in the story because to make up for time, and that the show that probably revenge isn't a good thing. And showing the death by torturing a person would not be child appropriate. And this is why Disney made these changes to Snow White.